Okay, let's continue. Where was I? Romanticizing, idealizing a job or a life goal is a mistake. Don't imagine some holy grail, a spring of rejuvenation, a perfect job or a perfect relationship to be an imaginary finish line out there that will give you a happily ever after. If you over romanticize, you will have a grass is always greener effect where you focus on the good things before you get it, and then once you get it, it's going to seem you're gonna now you start seeing the flaws, and then you end up being disappointed and looking elsewhere again. So it's not to say that you should just look for flaws, but just don't expect something out there to magically solve all of your problems. I mean, it may solve some of your problems, that's absolutely true, but don't expect it to be perfect. So you have this kind of thing can happen when you're job hopping. So here's the thing: you have to carefully curate what it is that you want, while also understanding, limiting your expectations, so that the things that are less important, you're okay with not having. So it's like you focus on the most important things that you do want when you look for these, and not treat it like a checklist. Treat it like a wish list with a few requirements for the most important things that are necessary. So you can have this kind of issue if you just job hop because you're running away from your job. You don't like your job. You need to be moving towards something. You go, this is what I want, and then you look for jobs that are closer to that. Same with relationships. All of these predicate your current situation as not what you want and hinges your happiness on the non-existent. So obviously you can switch jobs, you can switch relationships, but it should be towards the right things and not away from things that just don't, just because it's not perfect. You have to curate it. Any high will only train your brain to seek more of it, while never being as good as the first time. That's how highs work. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not gonna talk more about it. So as for this romanticizing, there was actually an example in the book that mentioned it, which used the example of hiring, say, a C-level executive from outside, because when you look for candidates, you see all the good things and qualifications and why they're great, and then when you start working with them, you get disappointed while also looking at other candidates, and you also see all the good things about them. So it's like you see the good things when they're at a certain distance, you also see the bad things when they're closer, but you still see only the good things for the other ones that are still at that distance away. Your body is like a society of cells, and you are the government. You mostly deal with international decisions with little internal management. Yeah. So your body is basically a very well functioning society, quite honestly. As long as you have maintained good trade, you don't introduce malignant resources and poisons, and interfere when certain issues crop up. Basically, if you start, catastrophizing, drinking alcohol, etc., you're going to be a horrible government. So you can think of it as what you expect your government to do, right? You expect your government to actually care about the country. You expect them to not be divided and corrupt. Not expect, but desire. So, you expect them to, their first priority to be the prosperity of the country and not themselves. And that's what you do when you, for example, have a voice in your head that goes, I want to drink alcohol, I suppose. So that's like the corrupted minister, right? Sacrificing the people for his personal gain. Anyways. System that amplifies things that sound good but don't work. When you have a system that amplifies things that sound good but don't work, you get what the United States is now, was a quote from some guy, the dude. It's kind of fun. It's kind of, I mean, America's not all bad, but the modern social media levels of delusion are there, and everywhere else, because social media is very good at at voicing things that just don't work. Okay. So the same guy, this is the same guy. Okay, I'm gonna skip this. Minorities. What is going on? Okay, so this one is ignorance debt that Alex Hormozi talks about. I don't know where he pulled it from. He learned it from somewhere, and he mentions it a lot, but I don't know where he actually learned it from. I think it was like one of his mentors or something. Basically, it is, if money you're not making is this money lost. So my phrasing is, if money saved is money earned, then money unearned is money lost, which is basically what he's saying. So it's like, why don't you make $10 million a month right now? It's because you don't know how. So your ignorance on how to make $10 million a month is costing you $10 million a month because you don't know it. So if you learn it, then you start making it. That's his point, but I mean, I do agree you should learn, but I think it's a bit extreme. To beat a game comes with many small steps when working backwards. Wait, what? To beat a game? Yeah, so, it's like if you have a goal, let's say you want to beat the final boss, then before you beat the final boss, you would have to have beat the previous bosses, and so on, and you go back until you have the next boss you have to beat. And to beat this boss, you maybe need certain equipment, certain quests done, certain level, certain stat distribution, certain classes, maybe certain team. So then you start checking those off, and then you beat this boss, and then you find the next boss, and you check those off. And we don't really, and that's really how any big goals really work, but I think most people don't really do that, including myself, with, say, relationships or making money, or like making a lot of money in this case, or being more, I guess, organized, maybe. Any big goal you can have, certain careers, certain, and so on, I suppose. Okay, let me see. Well, yeah, I guess, I mean, I don't know. So, like, what is the formula for happiness then? And if we move back from there, I guess, so it's the people that you surround yourself with, the work you do is, you don't have to love all of it, but if you're happy with it, your partner, which I suppose is objectively the biggest one, because that's the person you spend the most time with, I guess. Your diet and lifestyle, so like diet, sleep, exercise, your self-confidence, and say mental hygiene, for example, so how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself, by Tom Bilyeu. And I guess that's really it, right? Huh. And each of these aren't small though, so I don't actually know what it is that I want to do in the long term. So like, I don't know what I enjoy doing that is valuable. I mean, I think flow is one of the best measurements, I guess. And I don't know. I enjoyed streaming, but that's not exactly valuable. I enjoy refining things, but also so it's like I like problem solving when the problem is like it's not so much problem solving as it is like how can this be better kind of problems, rather than how can I create a solution for X. I like that kind of brainstorming exercise, I guess. Because that's how I, well, at least that's how I ended up enjoying card games and deck building, I suppose. I also liked discovering the non-straightforward solutions for like the creative style math problems that weren't the kind in school, which were very formulaic. Where it's a bit more, how would you solve this rather than I told you how to solve this, so solve this now that I've changed the variables. I also like chess. Why do I like chess? I don't know. I also like chess puzzles more than chess. So maybe it's the idea that to know that there's a solution and I just have to find it. I like the feeling of knowing I have a win, I guess.